the brand now, like the Tallow Truth, will be 3 years this spring. We had our first 8-figure year in 2025, and so we're just freaking growing. You gotta start just getting on camera more because it's such a massive, high efficiency thing to do as a founder. I think we had $1 million a month, no landing pages, and still just the product page.
The founder needs to be on camera. If the founder's not on camera, they're gonna just not make as much money as they can. I think that leans into like the authenticity of your business because the marketing is very authentic.
Still to this day, biggest pillar in the growth is making a style of ad that only you can make as a brand.
What's been the biggest success levers you've seen in terms of scale, creatives, things like that? And do you have any like hot takes on it?
We just had our 2 biggest ads, spent multi 6 figures on these in a matter of like a few weeks. And dude, they took like 20 minutes to make. And so, but part of like the leanness was like, hey, do you understand what drives your brand forward? And if you do, like just do more of it.
Yo, what's happening? So we have Ben with us today. Ben, how's things?
Good, doing good, man. I'm excited to be here. We've chatted here and there and at events and stuff. So yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, we first met at the D2C Growth Summit in New York, and then obviously in Miami as well. But listen, let's get cracking into it. So drop us a bit of an intro. Who are you? What's your brand? Give people a rundown just on a bit about yourself and the brand.
Yeah, dude. So my name is Ben. I'm up here in Canada and messed around with Ecom for a while now. I'm 33 now, and so pretty old compared to some of the young guys in the game. But I think I got into drop shipping like 2017. No, yeah, I think it was 2017. Like first store was gonna sell like watches, from AliExpress. Then my journey was like pretty drawn out because it's obviously like 2026 now, and the brand now, like the Tallow Truth, will be 3 years this spring. But this was the first time I got traction. So a lot of false starts and then kind of giving up in the e-com space. But then, I mean, I don't know if you ever lose it after the first Shopify notification. And so came back, ended up, kind of doing it the hard way in terms of making our own product and stuff, and really trying to lean into branding and authenticity, as opposed to just making a buck with drop shipping. So that's sort of in a nutshell what's going on. And yeah, like we've had some awesome growth. We had our first 8-figure year in 2025, and so we're just freaking growing.
Unreal, man, unreal. So how did you kind of get into this product? Because it's obviously quite niche. And 3 years ago, I couldn't imagine it was that big of a talking point at that stage. But how did you get into like wanting to start this one?
Yeah, so I always kind of tell people that this was a convergence of like personal interests with business interests. Now, like they're kind of the same. Like I was always really into business, but the other thing at the time and earlier on, I was into kind of like lifestyle change for health. And so I was into the ancestral carnivore diet and a lot of this stuff. And I was pretty early to the party on like, now people eating steak is like normal, like all that stuff. You know what I mean? But like it was
cooking with tallow and all that shit.
Yeah, I did like the carnivore diet like straight up in 2019 or something, and people were like, this is insane. And then slowly, like I followed Carnivore MD like before he even had like a following, like just pretty niche. And so I wasn't the first person to do beef tallow, but I was pretty in the space. And so the more I learned, I actually wanted to sell it as like a eating supplement first. And I was like, nobody's going to buy that. Saw a few people doing beef tallow as a product. And I was like, I can get behind this. And then combining that with some of just the messaging that excited me from a marketing point of view, I was like, this is perfect. Like I can get behind this product. I believe in it. But there's also a lot of fun ways to market this. There's a whole new kind of edge from like the gadget from like, AliExpress, like the dog hair remover. That was one of my products. I was like, I want to
go start somewhere, man. You gotta start somewhere.
Yeah. No, dude, learning ads manager with those products, like that changed my life. Like getting over that hump of like running ads, and even though it was like 5 years later, like I was so overwhelmed by ads manager when I first got in there, but I learned that with those early stores. And dude, that that left the door open to start running ads again. So yeah.
Unreal. So tell us a bit about like the Tallow Truth, because I think it's pretty interesting. You have your own factory and things, if I'm not mistaken. Do you like kind of produce the product yourselves?
Yeah, so it's beef tallow moisturizer, which a lot of people have seen now. When we launched, there wasn't anyone else running ads in Canada that we could find, and so it was like there was lots of other small brands, but it was pretty early on, and so I was like gonna start by I was gonna try to find someone who could make it for us, and then I was like, well, we could just make it to start, like just literally a few tins, like in the kitchen. So I had like a red mixer. I still have it. And literally just ordered stuff on Amazon, ordered ingredients, and mixed it up. Sold the first round to kind of just family and friends, started an Instagram, got some feedback, and then we can get into it a little bit, but ended up chatting to a guy I met online, and he was like, you should do ads like for it. And I was like, do they still work? Like I thought Facebook ads were kind of dead. You know?
They're dead every year apparently, so
yeah. But anyways, getting back to the product, we ended up just doubling down on that. We went to the kitchen, to the basement, got some help hiring some people, ended up getting some machinery, getting a small space, and a couple different times I thought we'd outsource it, but it was always like, putting up 30 grand for inventory, and I didn't have it. It was easier to make 100 tins with, $1,000 and then try to sell it that week and keep doing that. And so now we have like a legit little factory, but we got like, 8 people in there or 10 people in there, and it's pretty legit.
Real. And there's like, so you obviously did you do all the research yourself at the start? Is that kind of how you started making the product? Yeah.
Yeah. It was literally like, going online, like seeing what other people were doing. Like, I like to think there's really original parts of my brand, but there was also imitation where, I didn't invent this category of moisturizer. So I looked at what other people were doing, but then I did come up with my own formula. I was like, I'll take these ingredients, like, and, mix them together, see what people think. So it was all just straight up like, yeah, experimentation. I'm not a skincare person or anything, like, yeah.
Yeah, just find your way around it. That's the beauty in it all. Like, I think for all the people I've been speaking to and all the brand owners that we work with, like, you kind of made this for you in a way, would you say? You made this product for you, and that's ended up being your actual target demographic, would you say?
Yeah. So the two things there, like, I'd say yes. I think one thing I really leaned into was I was like, okay, make the brand that I wished existed. Like, and how could I make a brand that if I stumbled across it, I'd be like, this is cool. Like let me check them out or let me buy something. So yes. And I even the product, I was like, what would be, a cool name, cool like packaging and that sort of thing. What was neat was because it's such a big category, like it's actually middle-aged women who like who buy it mostly. But no, I did really build the brand that I wanted to see, which made it easy because I still think it is hard to design the brand. Like, I think if I started trying to make the brand that women would want, like, I don't think it would have worked. Like, I wouldn't have known what to do as much.
Yeah, yeah. And like that can then take us on to kind of like the marketing spin. So you have a very like unique brand voice, you could say. It's like kind of out there a little bit. It's kind of funny. Like, I love reading all this sort of stuff. But do you think that's kind of like leaned into your success? Because there's a real common trend in everyone that I've been speaking to that the more unique the brand is, the more it's standing out now, because there's just a lot of copy paste brands. Do you think that's kind of why you're seeing such success, because you've went with such a different marketing angle in a way?
Yeah, I think definitely. I used to be a little more cocky, and I'm like, it's just the marketing, and I'm good at it, and we're in a good category. Health like is a good category. Natural health stuff is growing, so I think that gave us tailwinds. But dude, no, I will say that there was other, I lapped some people who were out before me who just kind of had a vanilla brand, and I think that's such like a mistake, is being afraid to being afraid to say something that might exclude people, being afraid to go too niche. So right from the start, I was like, some people might hate this, but like some people are gonna love it, and we're gonna make sure they feel it one way or the other. And so we kind of went kind of political, right wing, poking some fun at a lot of the sort of like woke inclusivity, a lot of, really like kind of mocking modern health and big pharma and really positioning ourselves as kind of like a rebellion to that. And it was like literally kind of ridiculous. Like it was even more ridiculous at the start, but no, it got attention. It's still, we have people who just, we try to tie it back to just pillars of health and strength and freedom and critical thinking and ownership over your body and what you put in it. So just good stuff. But we definitely use other strategies to kind of poke fun at other companies who are more politically correct or whatever, and it does get some good attention. Like it's pretty funny.
Yeah, and I think that is like a massive learning a lot of brands should be taking, is like, I think especially nowadays people are talking about like free speech in a way, and it's definitely seeping through into ecom for sure. Like the best brands genuinely that are scaling aggressively, not just being there and existing or doing, staying where they are, is the ones that are doubling down on that. Like it's so, I love it because it gives you something different. It gives you an edge that can't really be replicated, which probably ties us on to like, you're obviously, when me and you were speaking, you're getting ripped. I think all brands get ripped. Like, do you think that's why it doesn't really affect the business, because you've such a unique marketing message? Or what's your sort of thoughts on that?
I'm still figuring this out. I'll be honest, like early on, someone on Twitter like literally kind of recreated my brand, and I was like, holy shit, like I was sharing everything very openly at that point, like even sales and ads and stuff, and that scared me a little bit, to be like, oh, like he posted fake screenshots of revenue, and so I thought he was like killing me, and I was like, holy shit. So I stopped sharing as much because I thought maybe someone could just replicate what I was doing. He shut down. Whatever. I realized that there's more to it than just copying it. But the next wave is you get momentum around a product, and we had literal Chinese F-bomb like on Amazon, like on Temu, and so at a certain point, even if they're not copying your branding, people will try to cash in on your product. I just had a great call with another bigger brand owner, and he was like, it'll happen no matter what. As you get bigger, it's hard to keep ahead of it. But it's funny. I think that we did create a moat for ourselves with the messaging, which helped from a almost like, it's hard to copy that if you don't actually care about it, and it'll seem really lame if you're trying to do what we're trying to do and you don't care. And so there's other brands that have an attitude, and they do their own thing, and like they do a great job and they kill it as well. But then I see, in this same category, people who just, their only angle is like the natural angle. And it's like, well, why would they pick you over the next thing? So it's less so about someone ripping your brand, but it's more just like, how are you going to stand out, kind of like you said. And so I know I'm a bit all over the place with that answer, but I think it makes it harder to copy what you're doing. It's not like someone can just copy paste like maybe a drop shipping store.
Yeah.
But you don't get to escape people making like straight up fake products and all the other problems that come with it.
It's gonna happen.
Yeah.
I mean, it just shows you're probably doing something right. I mean, it's probably a bit of validation as well. Really, like.
Yeah. It was kind of neat to see the first fakes. It was it was.
I remember your man showed us the photo of it, and we were like, "Oh my fucking god, that is absolutely outrageous!" It's so frustrating, but I think it's actually mental. But in terms of then like your growth, what do you think is kind of other ties to that? You're big on founder ads. You're doing a lot of that. I think that is also honestly a big reason I see it is that natural you're not faking how you talk about the brand. I said this in one of the last the interviews I done, which was just like the founder needs to be on camera. If the founder's not on camera, they're gonna just not make as much money as they can. I think that leans into like the authenticity of your business, because the marketing is very authentic, So do you think that what's been the biggest success levers you've seen in terms of scale, creatives, things like that? And do you have any like hot takes on it? So a bit of a double barrel question.
Yeah, dude, the first thing is I do remember, especially coming from that dropshipping background, like it's so hard to compete and it's so hard to stand out if you pick your product off Alibaba and you're running a similar style of ad. Like I do remember being like, I don't want to play that game because like, first of all, it's not as, I didn't care enough. So it was like, it's hard to be, I think, fulfilled aside from just, can you make money? But it's also just like, it's so, there's no authenticity, there's no transparency, there's not too much for people to connect with. And then on the other side of it though, you've got all these little, you got moms with these little Instagrams who have tons of personality, and you've got people, building cool stuff, but they don't know how to market. And so I was like, if you can bring that together with the principles of Facebook ads and the landing pages and stuff, and but then you can also build something that's authentic and cool. Like I think that's a really powerful combo that I kind of thought wasn't that scalable, but it actually is. And so something like just like a founder ad, or memes and having some humor, or some actually good content around what you're doing is very unique to you. And it's like if you can mix that with direct response principles, like you will stand out in the feed. So the growth, I mean, part of it was a growing market, but early on we just had some funny memes, some funny us versus them, some funny copy and a good product. And we got, I think we had our first 100K month just with statics, no videos. And then, started doing some basic sort of mashup videos, which were also like kind of funny and kind of ridiculous. Like, but then also had some social proof and here's what the product is. And that worked. And then, I think it was a tweet. Someone was like, it's so easy, like do a founder ad. And I was like, I don't know how to do that. Like so I went on a walk. I just had the company hat on and literally talked about it and held the product up and here's what we're doing. Dude, those did like a 3-row ads for like a year almost. Like they really helped grow the brand. And I didn't actually know how well they were working. Like at the time, I didn't know enough about the numbers. But I still to this day, they've been the biggest pillar in the growth is founder content, is making a style of ad that like only you can make as a brand. And, I think it's a massive lever. So, I kind of forget the full question now, but I just had a great call with a guy today who's got a good brand. And I was like, dude, you gotta start just getting on camera more, because it's such a massive, high efficiency thing to do as a founder. And if you can get some ads that start working, like you can scale those bad boys. Like
it's literally free. Like, yeah, it's also just like not a cost at all. It's just time.
I think it's so weird it's almost like too simple. And one of the neat things is that you'll get better at it. And yes, you do need to learn how to have a hook and a CTA and things like that. But you do carry just the authenticity, even if you do it badly, that you're getting on camera and you're not ashamed of what you're building and you're telling people about it. Like that alone is something. And then you layer onto that, learning how to sell a little bit on camera, learning how to be intriguing. And like, it's literally your iPhone, put it in CapCut, put a little headline on it, and that's it. And, I do them in batches of 3 now, like 20 minutes, take 20 minutes. I'll come up with a fun angle, record 3 of them. And I should still be doing more because they still work. We just had our 2 biggest ads, spent multi 6 figures on these, like in a matter of like a few weeks. And dude, they took like 20 minutes to make. And so that I just encourage any brand owner who watches this, like even if you've never gotten on camera, you are part of the thing that makes your brand unique, and just start finding some angles. It doesn't have to be perfect when you start. We started running those through a founder Facebook page as well. Just literally my name, Ben, founder at the Tallow Truth.
What, like kind of whitelisted nearly?
Yeah, basically whitelisting yourself.
Yeah.
And that's been one of the biggest lever. Dude, that and meme statics were like what grew us basically.
The most Chad scale ad account of all time.
Yeah.
That's so funny. Along with that, like, what are you seeing in terms of your growth then? You've obviously got a really good offer. I know what your offer is, and you haven't even tapped into the subscription model, which I know you're doubling down on. But do you think, like, what's some of the biggest levers you pulled in terms of offer that kind of helped you scale? Have you any, like, real transition moments along the way that kind of helped?
Yeah, I mean, early on, it was AOV. It went from, I mean, I didn't know, like, I was pretty green on, like, actually running an offer, an ecom offer when I started. And so, first it was just straight up one unit. And, we go from, 30 or not 30, probably like a $40 AOV. And it's like, hey, how do we get this up? And I mean, bundling was the lever there. It was like you price breaks on a bundle. I think everybody like knows that now, but that just got the AOV up. You mix in, some upsells or post purchase, something like that. But if you can get that AOV, to $70, like you're in a pretty good place. And then it's just the creative. So I don't know what else from like an offer perspective has helped. Like, dude, we didn't do landing pages till like, I think we had $1 million month with no landing pages and still just the product page. Once again, like good product and like great reviews and good copy. But as soon as, the conversion rate was there and the AOV was there, it was just a matter of like, can we keep making ads?
Yeah. Did you feel like the AOV helped you just spend more?
Yeah, I was really figuring that out. Like we had a great, CAC early on, but that doesn't hold. I think it was like $25 or $26, which is like amazing. And that works. And you're like, oh, we can, this is so easy. And then it became a game of, well, like, how can we make room for, a $30 CAC and a $40 CAC and a $50 CAC? And so, that was huge. I think we have, getting the AOV from 60 to up around 75, 80 literally opens up the scale. And so I know that some of this is like basic stuff, but really understanding those numbers and then not being afraid to spend into it was big for me. Agency guys know this, I think, more because they're on the outside, but I think sometimes brand owners, it can be harder to learn to just spend that money if you can.
Yeah. I know it's like kind of trying to balance efficiency, CAC. It's such a hard, there's no one right answer, I think. And it's so difficult because even as the agencies, like we're trying to affect the ad account by performance offers, landers, these types of things. Yeah. But it's a whole flywheel, it's about trying to really just see how can the brand actually scale on an offer. But I think even just into your point, and what I think is so unique about your brand, and if people check out the website, they'll probably be surprised to an extent of how big you are by looking at the product page. But I think what kind of ties it to that is that scrappy marketing, if you want to call it. That's not an insult. That's just like more, like it's more personality, but it's raw, it's authentic, and like the copy. You nailed it. Like I think brands fire away from offer, copy, angles, marketing, messaging, positioning, PDP imagery, those types of things that actually scale, but then they get so obsessed with like, oh, that border isn't curved enough, or like the stuff that genuinely does not affect sales in the slightest. And it's trying to just find that balance. That's what we struggle to get from some brands, that they just hyper focus on the wrong things for growth. But you proved it. You've proved that you don't need all the fancy shit.
Yeah, and I think it can depend somewhat on your brand, what you're going for. But I'm like not a designer. I did not want to be slowed down in the the sort of propaganda angle of the brand allowed for a little bit more of the ugly, the ugly vibe. Text heavy. I'm a huge fan of Ben Settle, who's an email marketer. He's not really in the ecom space, but you should be on his list. Like, he talks a lot about the ugly design converting or the text heavy, the infotainment. And so definitely not getting caught up in what you think might look nice versus what just works. Like, it was pretty lean. It still is, but just hey, if we don't need it and it doesn't actually help, then no, we're not making the font bet, whatever it is. We're not. Now, at a certain point, you might be losing. Our pictures are still bad. They're terrible.
That's something I said to you. I was like, you need to get that sorted, man.
And so there's a time to optimize, but and maybe this dovetails a little bit into even the agency thing, is I think you can be scrappy and you can push really far being lean. Founder ads, upload them. You can run the ads yourself. I think you should, as a brand owner, understand those fundamental levers. So then you can bring in an agency, you can know what they can offer, as opposed to maybe trying to piece together, agencies that you expect to sort of save your brand. And so I'm a big proponent of, and I used to be a little more now we do have some great agency partners, but I was really big on, listen, until you need them, you can focus on the 80-20, double down on the stuff that you can do and push that as far as you can push it. And yeah.
I think even just to touch back on one thing, was you mentioned getting on camera and people being scared to show their face. Even for agencies like myself, when I started to put myself out there in content, that's the only reason we grew. And still do, and it's the only reason you're known in the industry. So you can't be a faceless business in ecom, I don't think. I think it's physically impossible unless you just have the maddest connections of all time. It's a very, very difficult thing, either a brand or agency, if you're not, because people buy from people. The only reason we met was because we just got on well, and then it can kind of escalate from there,
Dude, totally. I mean, for partners, it's half of it for me is literally you want them to be good, but it's I have to like the person, want to get on a call with them, want to chat with them. But you know how it is, the DMs and the pitches you get. I mean, I used to do it, which is funny because I started out in email, for freelancing. That's how I made my first cash, DMing and pitching, with just wild response, outreach messages. But no, dude, it's it can feel even if you don't get views on your content or whatever, but putting yourself out there, that is the secret. And I just think, going back to ecom, it's why, if you have that lever to pull, pull it. Yeah, why not? Get on camera, whatever it is.
Exactly. Yeah, we switch up of the location here, but what was some of the best hires you made then to kind of help with that growth internally? Because if a brand owner is hearing this, even if they're at the start or they're big and they're kind of want to get lean again, what was some of those pivotal ones? Because you obviously ran everything at the start. So those pivotal people or hires you brought in.
Yeah, there's two sides to it. So there's the ops side, which was got help making the product and doing the actual product side of it. Those would be a little bit more specific to to us, because we made stuff in-house. But I mean, you want to get logistics squared away, got someone to help make the product, got my brother to start doing logistics, I got my sister to do customer service. That's you need customer service pretty early on. But other than that, on the ecom side, I just did ads, I did email, and really lean, we did pretty lean organic social, so just Instagram, some posts and stuff. But and then it was on the ecom side, didn't really add anything till the growth partner media buying agency. And I think that's where a lot of the debate started for a bit. A year, we got an Amazon agency to get us set up. But I think the main like thing was, if you do have creative channel that was working, like which we had, which was like founder ads. I got my brother to start making some more static ads. But part of like the leanness was like, hey, do you understand what drives your brand forward? And if you do, like, just do more of it. Like you might not need to hire someone else. You just need to stay focused on what drives it forward. And I think really till $1 million a month, like if you can lean on agencies that are working well for you, great. But if you have something working at 100K a month, like probably just more of it will get you to 500K, even $1 million a month.
Yeah. I think it's so interesting though, because some people just don't have the qualities. I think it's different for everyone, honestly. Like some people I know would rather just outsource creative media buy and everything at the start. So there's genuinely not one answer, I think. But it's interesting how you've used like the scrappy, bringing people family to help.
Yeah, it's a good point. Like I guess some of it's what, like I kind of had like not no life, but I was obsessed with like e-commerce. So it's like I was cool doing the media buying and the emails and whatnot. And so there's probably a way to do that where you're not doing that and you can outsource more stuff. Like it was actually Johnny. We had a debate about this, like when I met him. He was like, no, you should get agencies and like, you don't have to do as much. So there's different ways to do it. But I think it's good to, even if you've got a heavy stack of service providers, it's a great filter to use where you're like, what are they contributing to the the revenue or the profit of the brand, like, and really be honest about that. And then sometimes you don't need them, sometimes they're great and they pay for themselves 10 times over.
Yeah, so interesting. It's such a massive debate right now, isn't it? But I think it's just time and place. Like, where are you? What are you focusing on? What are you even good at? Because some people are just genuinely really shit at all this. They kind of just need, maybe they're the ideas guy or whatever. Like that's the same for us, I suppose. Like I've done everything that we do for a client, except for obviously I'm not a full-time coder or developer, but there's some things you just have to put trust in people for and get better at, and you obviously pick up the little knacks. But I think as a business owner, you need to have a hand in everything at the start. That's my beliefs, because I think some people just bring in some of the worst talent and just presume that it's good. And seeing inside of so many brands, oh my god, you should see some of the people they have. They're clueless at Ecom.
I was curious to kind of like, I guess, like flip it back to you is, on the agency side, you get to see different brands and maybe like their blind spots where they're, I mean, you probably already seen it with ours where you're like, hey, I know there's CRO stuff, but you probably see, you come in as the CRO guy and it's probably like, it's the media, it's everything else that like is a problem too, that you're like, hey, if you guys sorted this out, then.
Yeah, I mean, like we can only affect so much as well. Like we're in our lane, and we'll work on that. But at the end of the day, if a brand, we always call it the trifecta of like creative, email, and SMS, CRO. That's what I think it needs to be. Now, CRO is a vague term. It's copy, landers, offer. You need to be doing all three of these. If you're not doing creatives and it's really bad, then we've no traffic or haven't got the best traffic or the best outcomes to affect that. And like we'll give advice and stuff. We just usually connect them with partners if they can't hire internally, which is where agencies come in handy. You don't have to pay all the bullshit government stuff. You've got a set cost as long as they're actually good. So we just have a network that we refer each other to. And I think that's like also a benefit to our clients, because then we're able to actually give them good shit and you're not getting absolutely shafted. So like we try and do that. We call it the T-shaped marketer, which is like, I learned this off, I think it was Connor Sunderland or something said it. So Connor, shout out Connor. Well, he said something like that. You need to be a T-shaped marketer, or maybe it was Paul Kennedy. I can't remember. And I've always thought about that. I say to our team, you need to be able to see ads and be like, they're terrible. You need to make these better, or just make more ads. Stop making so little. Like if you just output the quantity, you actually might just be more successful, even if they're a bit shit. So it's just trying to get them to keep the fundamentals good, and then we can do our job, but we have to try to get close to revenue. And we go into the bigger the brand, the worse the team. I swear to God, it's actually hilarious. Like some of the people that they bring in are just from like these big, massive corporate businesses that didn't get in and manage multiple areas. They just stayed in their one little area, and then they don't understand ecom. Like, you have to get ecom. I think if you don't get ecom, you can't be an agency.
Yep.
Like,
I think that's something I've experienced with you and with like Brian, who's great.
Yeah.
Shout out to Brian. But like, you guys understand holistically e-commerce, and sometimes I guess my criticism of some agency experiences has been they're really good at what they do, but they see the lens of the business just through their service, and that can be a problem. Whereas if you fundamentally understand the ads, the offer, the email, what drives it, then it's like you're an even better asset to the brand. Like, you know, you're seeing how it pieces.
I mean, you got to help them out. You've got to help them out. Like, you can't let them do things wrong, because it's just not, they're not going to last enough for you to be them to be a client. Like, if you're really a good agency, you have to care about the client's growth, because the bigger they get and the longer they stay, the better, obviously. So you've got to help them in every facet of that, and you can't just let them get sipped away by shit work.
Yeah. The only thing, other thing I'll add, like, to flip from if you can stay lean and do stuff yourself, is like at a certain point you have to unlearn that. And I think I'm going through a little bit of that now, where it's like, well, you're going to be the problem if you're slowing stuff down, and you might be good at it, but like you're not going to be good at it. Like, I think Hormozy said, like, you're not going to be better at everything than everybody. And so at a certain point you start being the problem if you want to write all the emails, but you don't do them, or you think you're going to do all the ad creative, but like you just can't do it. And so you start to hurt the brand. So that's where you do want people or partners or agencies who can amplify that, what's already working, do more of it. Like, yeah. So I think I'm in a little bit of that stage where we're like, we're still trying to grow, but it's like, you can't just keep doing this thing.
You can't do everything, man. No, I think as an agency, you have to do, like, we're so people heavy. Remember, you're not as much at the start. So we have to put trust in people. And even now, I still am involved in every strategy, you know, roughly. I don't see every single thing that happens, but I'm in all Slacks, all strategy, monthly roadmap calls. You know, you've still got to be able to give guidance. Yeah. And you can't just let people go and start doing it. So I suppose that's something you've probably learned. Like, what are other, like, learnings you've kind of taken? Something you wish you knew sooner? This is a question I love to ask. Like, if you could go back 2-3 years ago, or even at the start of last year, what's something you learned this year that you wish you probably should have done sooner?
I think the hiring one is tough, because like sometimes you can say you should have done it sooner, but it's you could do that too soon. So like, I think getting leadership in. I think you should always get on calls with people and be in the know with other brand owners. I think like siloing is probably like getting too isolated is the worst thing. You want those touch points. So that is something I'm glad I did was get on calls. Something I wish we did sooner. I think there's something to be said for knowing if something's working well, that like you should just go harder. It's not guaranteed. And I think once again, I'm glad we pushed as hard as we did, but sometimes I'm even like, you know, was I like slacking when it was easy, you know, like your ads are ripping and it's like, yeah, we'll just coast for a bit. It's like, so I try not to like have like regrets in that sense, but, and then like the other thing is, and most people who probably listen to this or like on Twitter, like they're already doing this, but like you've got to be just devouring like the information, and like if you stop learning, it's kind of crazy, because it's like it's a lot, but you've got to like those nuggets, like Johnny's events. It could be one little thing, whatever it is, that you're going to hear from someone and you're gonna unlock. So I don't know if that really answers the question.
Yeah. Probably, no, I agree.
We should have done this way. Like, dude, subscriptions, I think that maybe, I don't know, maybe that's a huge mistake, you know, like delay. That could be one of those ones where, hey, the data was there, the model was there. I kind of like didn't want to do it because I was like, this works. And then you got to deal with a different retention plan, and our customers like us, so they'll come back anyways. And I'm that might be the big one, man, where we'll see how it works for us. But I am looking at it like did my own like kind of limiting beliefs get in the way of taking advantage of acquisition when it was easier to do that? Could have been a big difference. So we'll see.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Listen, like I probably agree on that. I always think you can't really say, oh, regrets, or like it's all lessons really. Like Win or Learn, good book by John Kavanagh. There you go. That's a good book. You should read. Conor McGregor's coach. His book's called Win or Learn. Yeah, it's sick. But yeah, I mean, I agree on that totally. I think the main thing that brands, or even just business owners in general, have to realize is that like you have to be, if you're in e-commerce, you have to be online on Twitter. Even LinkedIn's got some good stuff, obviously not as much, but you've got to be in those circles just devouring content. That's how I learn most of my stuff. And I actually think you've got better learnings from that because you're hearing it straight from the source. So yeah, I couldn't agree more. But if any brand is selling a product and they take it into any routine or regularly, get subscriptions on and start running the subscription funnel, because the LTV on that shit is just bonkers. And you can make so many adjustments. It is like, you can get sort of over devoured in the information of subscriptions, but I think you guys will absolutely print with it. Even though you have a good LTV normally, I think it's going to change the business. Just even your brain, like it stops you you just realize you've got a consistent MRR.
Yeah.
Sleep better at night.
Yeah. Selfishly, if you don't mind, I'll ask a question on that, just because you've seen a lot of stuff, but like one of the things, it's all speculation till we get our offers live, but it's like, it's like chasing AOV versus chasing like subscription. And I'm guessing it's something that we'll learn, but like, you sell people a 3-month supply. It's like, okay, that's more upfront, but like, are they really gonna, they gonna rebill for that, or is it lower AOV and you build them sooner? It's probably depends on the brand, but like, I guess, do you have thoughts on that, like what you lead with?
Yeah, I mean, I think you have to, like I said this on the talk, is like, if you sell 90-day amounts and you sell on a 30-day subscription, like they're going to cancel because they have too much product. So it's actually tough because you have to try find the balance of like, what do people even want? Like realistically, for something like yours, if they're buying it maybe for a household and 2 people take it, then you can do like something that Grunes do. They do like 2 people packs and things, so you can get really technical with it. But I think you've got to try and keep average order value bundles there. But it's all about where you push traffic. Like, this, but if you're pushing traffic to a PDP and there's a bundle offer, keep the bundle offer and try linking subscriptions or something with that. I mean, AOV can still be kept high with subscriptions. It just depends on what you're pushing. So like we work with a brand that like they actually came to us saying like, hey, we're just getting loads of complaints now because people have now been billed after 3 months and they're saying that they didn't know they were going to be billed. So you get a lot of things like that with it. You've just got to make it sort of clear as day. But, if you're looking at it in terms of your product, you've got one product, or you've also got bundles that all suit each other. So you can sell like packs, like starter packs type stuff. Or people might just actually like all the products together. Like something that we do is we take you can take an order. You can scrape all your orders from Shopify, export them, and get AI to analyze like what's bought together the most, or these types of things, and run that as a bundle offer. Now, if you're running traffic, you've obviously got an initial cold acquisition offer you need to push. So you have yours at the minute, but if you're going to introduce subscriptions, then you kind of got find that balance of, well, if someone buys 8 of these, are we going to put them on an 8-month subscription? It's not really, there's absolutely no point in some of that. So I think you've got to kind of balance of like a max 3 month. You can't have them on a 6-month subscription. I don't think that works. So you nearly have to like take a hit on maybe reducing down how much they can buy at once. But you can also still do it where the one-time purchase has the options of packs. But if they select subscription, they can only subscribe to like, if it's a 3-pack, it auto toggles 90 day. If it's a 2-pack, it's 60. If it's a 1-pack, it's 30. But still allow them to adjust the day, because some people might only take a pack, or I'm calling it a pack, but some people might take a pack every 60 days and might not use it as much. So you've got to give them that personalization. They've got to be able to adjust it. You can't just hammer them with like a massive amount of product, if that makes sense. So I think you've got to The subscriptions is hard though, because like we work with a brand that then adjusted theirs with us and done like free gifts, but really exclusive free gifts. But they're like a real cult heavy brand. So it's like merch. So they get merch on month 1, 2, 3. Their churn rate dropped by half and their LTV is expanded. But you only figure that out after you've ran that cohort for like 3 months, and then you look at the data. So you nearly have to look at your data first, which is what you've done. You've got that base of data and you can kind of see what's working, and then you've got to adjust the plan at the start. It nearly is throw shit at the wall and see what sticks sometimes. So it's a difficult one to balance. I think that's kind of one of the hardest things. It's a delayed result, but you can affect subscription take rate at the checkout. You know, we've got that up to 70% for some brands, but that's product. That's not just us, obviously. You know, so you've got a really good product. Your subscription could be sky high. But as I said to you, like, don't break what's not broken. You know, like, if your acquisition's working, you want to adjust subscriptions in nicely where it doesn't actually break your acquisition model. So like run it subpar to like a lander, which you're kind of doing now. Do you know? So hopefully that answers the question. It's kind of beating around the bush with the answer, but it's there's a lot to it. Do you know? There's not really one size, one fit.
No, well, I'll keep you in the loop, and you might be helping with it at some point. So we'll definitely.
We'll see. But listen, if there's one thing you could take away, I think the biggest thing you've said is like niche. Be niche in your marketing. Like have a personality. You know, be scrappy at the start. I think everyone should be doing that in business, to be honest, unless you're just cash strapped. But at the same time, I still think people should be scrappy. And get your hands in every pie first before you let others start to cook it. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'd say they're the biggest takeaways.
And make some founder ads.
And make some founder ads. Well, listen, man, I appreciate you coming on. The Tallow Truth, get on Ben's brand. Appreciate everyone listening. If you want to like, subscribe, leave us a comment who you want us to get on. But we're going to be running these every month with some different cool founders. Mainly brands, some agencies, maybe some of my friends, just to drop some sauce. Hopefully everyone liked this. Ben, appreciate you coming on, man.
Love it, dude. Yeah, glad you're doing this. These are sort of niche little podcasts that like I love listening to, so I'm glad you're making this stuff. And yeah, I appreciate chatting with you, man.
Legend.
See ya.